I'm Katharyn Hanson, and I'm a Cultural Heritage Preservation Scholar, and I work at the Museum Conservation Institute. When I was a kid, I was fascinated by history, and I also really liked dirt. So I spent a lot of time when I was in high school, and then also when I was in college, on fieldwork projects as an archaeologist. And as I advanced in my career, and when I was getting my doctorate, it became very clear to me that particularly for projects that I had been working on in the Middle East, you could not ignore what was happening with the modern context and what was, if we were going to work on understanding the ancient past, we also had to work towards protecting those ancient sites in the current day and for the future. And so much of my work has shifted into what we call preservation, because although I still very much study the ancient past, I also work very hard to make sure that that ancient past remains for the future. The bulk of what I work on right now is computer-based, and that is primarily looking at remote images, so satellite imagery, and analyzing that for differences, using it to make damage assessments, differences in what has happened to an archaeological site over time, particularly sites in crisis. One of the projects we've worked on in Iraq has been the Nimrod rescue project. And Nimrod is a site that is in northern Iraq. It was heavily damaged by ISIS, intentionally so, and very much for their propaganda. And when the site was cleared and liberated from ISIS, Smithsonian was invited by the local government authorities to come and work with the Nimrod rescue project team and train them on the best ways to go forward. One of the things I've been able to contribute to that project has been the remote sensing, so the satellite imagery of what's happened at Nimrod and the change over time. And so I've been able to create a map of what the site looked like prior to ISIS's arrival and destruction, and then afterwards what was left. And that's allowed the team to evaluate sort of at the macro scale what is still at the site and prioritize where they were going to work next. It's allowed us to create a damage map and assess the situation and how we're going to go forward at Nimrod. One of the other projects that I'm very fortunate to be able to work on is the Smithsonian's work in Iraq at the Iraqi Institute for the Conservation of Antiquities and Heritage. And this is based in Erbil, Iraq, and it is at the invitation of the Iraqi Antiquities Department and in collaboration with them. And I work on the archaeological site preservation portion of it. And the trainees throughout all the programming there are Iraqi cultural heritage experts. They typically have a bachelor's or more, and they're coming for professional training. They've been nominated by their local Antiquities Department office. And what we get to do in the classroom there is one of the most exciting things I've ever done, and that is map archaeological sites and get that information documented. There's something very empowering to be able to go to a cultural heritage location that has never been put on the map before, and to be able to say, these are the coordinates of this site, and then to create the map that puts it literally in someone's awareness, that literally puts it on the map. One of the things I've seen while working in Iraq has been the unifying power of heritage, that we can work together to preserve our ancient and more modern past, and that that's something that communities can take pride in. And I do feel very strongly that when communities face situations of crisis, that they're able to have a sense of resiliency because they have a powerful sense of identity. And much of that identity is wrapped up in what is their built environment and their built heritage that contributes to that. So as one small part of the resiliency and the rebuilding in Iraq that we've seen is the ability to protect and preserve heritage for the future.